Hey guys, welcome back to the 21 Convention. I hope everybody had a great night last night and hopefully got some rest too. Before we get our first speaker up of the day, Anthony's going to like to have a special word about him. Here you go.
Morning, guys. Cool. This next speaker, Robbie Kramer, backstory to him is that I'm always on the lookout for dating coaches that are actually worth a damn. And to be honest, every year that goes by, they are harder and harder to find. So when I do find them, I kind of know it right away. And I felt that sense when I saw Robbie. So this past year, I met him at another pickup conference. I saw him, and I knew right away, I was like, this guy, A, belongs in my event, not so much this event, and I really want him there. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. So I talked to him, worked it out. Here he is, the world's #1 confidence coach, Robbie Kramer.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
All right. Hey, everybody. Everyone tired? No? All right, good. So thanks for that intro, Anthony. I'm Robbie Kramer, and I've got some cool stuff for you guys today. The interesting thing about how I teach, which is maybe a little bit different to a lot of people that teach this stuff, is I call myself kind of like a wisdom guide, meaning I'm all about giving people tools to help them learn at the ideal rate. And I'm not the type of, like, there's a lot of these gurus, and the gurus are like, do this, follow this. That's not who I am. What I do is I get you guys into a learning type of mode, and that was what really helped me. So let me give you my backstory real quick. Basically, right now, life is pretty good. This is my girlfriend. I feel pretty confident most of the time, not all the time, but it definitely was not always like that. I was like the biggest nice guy in the world. You guys, anyone else, any nice guys in here? Yeah? All right. So what I mean by nice guy is like high school, college, I was the guy that brought extra copies of his homework so I could just pass them out to the girls because I figured, oh, that's how you meet women. You're just really nice. I had the nice Jewish mom. So any other guys can relate to that, the Jewish mom? There we go. It was in about 2005 when I realized, wow, there's actually people out here that can teach you to be better with women. This is so cool. I had no idea that was even possible. So I started studying and reading all this stuff. And I'm the type of person where I'll see something and I'll be like, okay, I got to try that. That sounds fun. That sounds crazy. So I just go out and try all this stuff. And some of it would work, some of it wouldn't. But the entire time I was trying stuff in terms of strategies to meet women, I found that if I ever had to express attraction to a woman, it made me feel really nervous, really awkward. I didn't want her to know that I was into her. I felt bad. I felt kind of sleazy about that. So I was always in this weird sort of dilemma, what do I do? Do I go in and be the sneaky, indirect type of guy, or do I just go straight up and be really direct? But neither of those kind of methods felt good. Can anyone else relate? Yeah, cool. So what I had to do was find stuff that was in alignment with who I was. So I started studying this stuff and that stuff, and some of it worked, some of it didn't. And I knew that I had to get some sort of coaching. So I started taking boot camps. And I became a head instructor after taking about 4 different boot camps from one of the biggest companies back in the day that taught pickup. And they were flying me all over the world, teaching this stuff to other people. And it was cool because I could go into a bar and basically have this group of students around me, and they thought I was this awesome pickup guy. And they all looked up to me, but the whole time I felt kind of like a fraud, because I could teach these routines and these techniques, but deep down, I was still embarrassed about my attraction towards women. I still felt weird about it. And even though I started dating more women, it was just kind of more of the same type of women I always got, the women I settled for. And I knew that I had to do something different. So I left that company, and I started really looking at inner game. And I kind of dove into this whole arena of inner game. And that's when transformation started to happen for me. I took a look at myself, my integrity, my morals as a man. Kind of a lot, what the other speakers have been talking about is you have to be a man. And I was a boy. Even when I was coaching for this other company, I was a boy. So the process of becoming a man, expressing my attraction, getting comfortable doing that is what really changed everything. And that's what inner confidence is all about. So see if you can relate to this statement. What is wrong with me? I see beautiful women all the time, but I just can't seem to go over and talk to them. And when I do, sometimes, I usually find a way to screw it up. Who can relate to that? So today, what I'm going to be talking about is strategies, first off. How to pinpoint the strategies that are right for you. Now, who knows there's a lot of strategies out there? You could be studying for years to kind of get all this knowledge that's out there on the internet. It's good, but it's also bad, and I'll talk about that. The mindset, how to make sure your mindset, kind of your inner game, is in alignment with what you're doing, your outer game, the strategies. Sexual tension. This is really the key to the kingdom, what I talked about before. You have to be comfortable with sexual tension if you want to be a man when it comes to relating to women. And last, how to develop a game plan and how to set up step-by-step action so you can guarantee that you're going to take that action and get better. Because it's all about action. If you're taking action consistently, not too much and not too little, find the sweet spot, you'll really see massive improvement. So my promise is that I'm going to teach you guys as much as I can in the limited time I have. And for some of you guys that want to learn more, I'll show you how to do that in the end. And I probably won't have time for questions because I have a ton of content, but I'll take questions after the speech. Come find me anytime. I love to talk about this stuff. So I'm going to talk about a concept called external alignment. And what I said before about there being tons of dating advice out there, that can actually be a huge detriment to people. It was for me, because when I first started studying, it was like, ooh, there's this cool stuff. There's this mystery stuff, and then there's this banter stuff and flirting and direct stuff, and I had no idea what to do. And so all I kind of did was, okay, I'll try that, I'll try this, I'll try the other. Some of it worked, some of it didn't, but what was really going on was that I wasn't sure who I was, so I didn't know which strategies to pick. I couldn't narrow it down very easily. So when you figure out what your external alignment is, then you'll really know which strategies are the best fit for you to succeed. So here's this grid that I created. Call it the external alignment grid, and I'm going to put you guys into a few boxes. Who likes to be put in a box? All right, we've got a couple guys. That's great. So first, there's introverted. And by introverted, what I mean by introverted is if you get more energy being by yourself, you can look at it as, let me make the analogy of recharging a battery. So how do you recharge your batteries? Do you do it by being alone and taking that downtime? Or do you recharge your batteries by being around other people? So for me, I'm a little bit more extroverted, meaning if I feel drained, I'll go hang out with some friends, and that'll make me feel more energized. So who gets more energized being with people, and who gets more energized being alone? So who's more introverted? And who's more extroverted? Okay, cool. I think everyone raised their hand. I had this awesome joke for people who didn't, but now I can't even use it. All right, so now we have aggressive and passive. And what I mean by aggressive is basically you're out there, you're taking action. Not so much taking action, actually. It's more about confrontation and tension. So if you're comfortable making other people uncomfortable, or if you're comfortable basically just going for things and not really caring about so much how they feel, you're probably more aggressive. You're just going to go for it. You're going to be like, whatever. If anyone plays poker, and you're like this huge, you're just all in every hand, then you're probably pretty aggressive. Now, the other one is passive. Passive people take their time to make decisions. They're a lot more concerned about how other people perceive them. And I would say that most guys, probably 90% of the guys that struggle with women or who have struggled, are probably more on the passive category. People that are really aggressive, they usually don't struggle with women because they're just the guys that are like going for it, going for it, going for it. They're the guys that will walk up to every woman in the bar and say, hey, you want to go home and have sex? And eventually one will say yes. So that wasn't me. So who thinks they're more aggressive? Few people? Okay. Who thinks they're more passive? Okay. So, and when I'm talking about this, I'm just talking about it in terms with women. In business, sometimes we'll be more aggressive. Like for me, it was a lot easier for me to be aggressive with business than it was with women. So that's the category. Now let me explain the 4 boxes. So the first one is the party guy. And what the party guy is basically, he's like the life of the party guy. That's why I call him the party guy. He's outgoing, he's in the spotlight. Their strengths is that they meet women very easily. They're very vocal. They're just like, here I am, let's go for it, let's do it. And the weaknesses of a party guy is that they don't connect as much. They're always about fun, and a lot of the time they have that grass is always greener conversation. You guys know what I mean by the grass is always greener? Basically, it's like you're in a relationship and you want to be single. And then you're single and you want to be in a relationship. So you're never satisfied. You're always one or the other. And I can relate a lot to this category. This isn't my main category, but if I get drunk enough, I become a party guy. So that's the first one. Next category is kind of the bad boy or the mysterious guy. Same thing with the strengths. They're very aggressive. These are the guys that just go for it. They're really comfortable with sexual tension. They see a woman they want, and they're just like, here I am. And they're very direct, very aggressive. The weakness is that they can walk all over people. They're very dominant, so it will cause them to be disliked, especially by people who are more passive, you could say. And their relationships are always like these turbulent, dramatic relationships where it's like, they're getting glass broken and they're cheating and the woman's cheating and they're like broken up and then they're together again, they're broken up. I've never had those crazy relationships where you're like breaking up every week, but most of those people are typically bad boys. So bad boy or mysterious guys. It can either be the really aggressive type of guy, or he's a little bit, the bad boy, the aggressive guy, he's more introverted than the party guy, so he'll kind of just pick his spot. Next, we have the nice or the sweet guy. That's me. So what the nice guy is, they make people feel really comfortable. They're approachable, they're friendly, they're really warm. Usually nice guys have tons of friends. They're very easy to get along with. They like being around people, and they connect with people very easily, which is why they're usually in the friend zone. That's the weakness, is because they're so nice and because they're so friendly, they don't have a lot of that raw sexual kind of aggression, and they'll hang back and get stuck just as a friend. And they're typically scared to express attraction. They take things personally so they can be walked on, and they avoid asking for what they want. Not just with women, but in a lot of areas. If you're scared to ask for what you want, most people aren't going to give it to you. So you either end up trying to get it by kind of manipulative ways or just kind of hoping that eventually somebody recognizes you for how nice you are. It's like what I talked about when I brought my extra homework for the women, in high school. I figured, once they find out how good of a guy I am, then they'll want to be with me, then they'll want to date me. But that usually didn't happen. And the last is the smart or analytical guy. And this guy is introverted and passive on the grid. And the strengths is that they're stable, they're great at solving problems, they're really trustworthy, they keep their word, and they're usually really good providers. So once they're in a relationship, they're like the rock. The weaknesses is they tend to experience paralysis of analysis. There's so much stuff in their head that it's very difficult to have social interactions with people. And I can relate to this category as well. What you'll find on this grid is that, for me, I was primarily this. If I got drunk, I was him. And if I was in my head, or feel like if I was on the computer all day doing a lot of work, I'd be here. I was never here. So if this is your main category, you might experience a little bit of this and a little bit of this, but usually not from the opposite end of the spectrum. So let's figure out what you guys think you are. Who thinks they're a party guy? Sort of? Maybe one guy? It's funny, if you look around the room, you can usually tell how people are dressed. It's like, you look like a party guy. It's like, we can go out, we can have a good time. You just tell. People like, their energy exudes this a lot of the time. Who thinks they're a nice or a sweet guy? All right. So if anyone needs any favors, you guys know who to go to. Who thinks they're a bad boy or mysterious guy? Couple guys? Yeah, wouldn't want to get in a fight with this guy. Who thinks they're an analytical or smart guy? Okay. Anyone just completely not sure? I don't know what this guy's talking about. I'm totally off the grid. Anyone in that space? All right, perfect. So went over this. So people think, all right, well, what should I do? And the trap that I fell into was I heard this all the time. I'd go online, I'd look at some product or some, promise from somebody who was teaching this stuff, and they would say, just follow my paint-by-number system, and you can have what I have with women. And I would follow the paint-by-number system. I'd do it exactly how they wanted me to do it, but I didn't get the same results. And I was always thinking, like, what's wrong with me? Why isn't it working? It works so well for him. Why isn't it working for me? And the problem was I was taking advice from somebody who wasn't on my section of the grid. I was taking advice from people that were typically bad boy, mysterious types of guys. Most of the teachers you'll find will fall into that category of like the bad boy. And as a nice guy, every time I tried to use one of those strategies, it just didn't feel right. No matter how hard I tried, it just like felt like I was butting up against something. Anyone had that experience when trying different techniques out there where you're just like, God, this doesn't work, but it works so easily for him. What's wrong with me? Anyone had that before? A few people. So that's probably what's happening if you think back on it. And the majority of guys that are struggling are passive, but the majority of the techniques out there are very aggressive techniques. And it's really tough to get somebody who's naturally passive to be aggressive because it's just not in our nature to be aggressive. Like for me, trying to be really aggressive in anything just feels weird. It feels off. I feel a little bit skeezy doing it. And I can force myself, but if I feel awkward doing something, most likely the person that I'm interacting with is going to feel that energy, and they're going to feel awkward about it too. So now there's one more spot on the grid, and that's the confident guy. Now, I made the shift from nice, sweet guy up to confident guy. And you can shift into the confident guy category from any spot on the grid. And the thing that separates a confident guy is that in terms of being extremely extroverted, like life of the party, or extremely introverted, you're kind of in the middle. You can connect with people. And it doesn't matter if you're mostly introverted or mostly extroverted. When you're with a woman, you can get into that connected space and really make a strong emotional connection with her. It doesn't matter, either way, if you're introverted or extroverted, you can still connect with people. You don't want to try to switch from introvert to extrovert. It just won't work. Likewise, when it comes with passive and aggressive, it's really tough, like I said, to get a passive person to do something aggressive. But if you become assertive, it'll make a huge difference, not just with women, but anywhere in your life. Now, for me, I was like the least assertive guy in the world. When it came to boundaries, I had none. Can anyone relate to that? It was basically like, oh, yeah, you want to take my money and my wallet? Okay, just don't take too much. It was, I didn't want any tension whatsoever. If I was so scared of confrontation that I would do anything to avoid it, and my way of avoiding it was just giving in. So I had to learn to set boundaries, to draw the line, to be assertive. Not just with women, but everywhere. And the cool thing was, when I learned how to do it with women, everything else became easy. Because women was the hardest kind, that was like the final frontier. It was the hardest thing. So when I learned to set boundaries, be assertive, state what I want, and not apologize for who I am, women really started responding positively to me. So those are kind of the ideal spots. And it doesn't matter where you are, you can move into that zone. And I just went over this, so we'll skip that. Now, how to shift. We want to realize that our strengths, and we don't want to try to become someone we're not. If you're a nice guy and you're trying to become a bad boy, you're going to bump up against a lot of brick walls. It's going to be tough. If you're an analytical guy and you want to be a party guy, that's going to be really tough. It's going to take a lot of drinks, a lot of Coke. Probably not what you want to do. And the problem is, the first time I actually studied this stuff, it's a funny story, I read The Game. Who's read The Game? Most people. And the night, I read The Game in I think I stayed up 36 straight hours just reading this thing. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You can become better with women. I completely missed all the part at the end when he talked about how, it's really about being yourself. I'm like, screw that stuff. You don't need that. I'm just going to be this, this game guy. I'm going to go out and pick up tons of chicks. And so what I did was I remembered one of the lines in the game. It was like, call a girl by a cartoon character. So I went out that night when I finished the book, and I put myself into this bad boy, mysterious guy mode. And I walked up to this girl, and I'm like, hey, you kind of look like Minnie Mouse. She was like, Minnie Mouse? I was like, yeah, Minnie Mouse. I'm going to go to the bathroom. That's all I had. It's like, shoot, I don't remember anything else. So I go to the bathroom. I come back, get a few shots, bring a shot to her. I'm like, here you go, Minnie Mouse. We take the shot. I'm like, how was it, Minnie Mouse? Literally, I think I called her Minnie Mouse 10 times within a 2-minute stretch. That's all I had. I had no idea what else to say. And she turns to me. This woman was gorgeous. She was 5'11", brunette, just my type. And she turns to me and she goes, you got to stop calling me Minnie Mouse because I actually really like you. And she got, a little bit sexual. And when she did that, all of a sudden, I was like, ding, ding, ding. I can be confident now because I know I'm in. For me, I could never be confident until I knew I was in. And then I was Mr. Confident Guy after that. But if I didn't know, I did not want to go there. So from there, it was pretty easy. I was like, okay, great, come with me. We walk over to the corner of the bar. We start making out. 10 minutes later, we're back at my place having sex. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I found the holy grail. I can just go out and call every woman Minnie Mouse. And I'm just, my problems with women are over. So I actually tried to do that for the next 3 months and failed miserably. Most of the women were just like, okay, loser. Great. And not only that, but that next morning when I woke up, I was no longer drunk, and here I had this beautiful girl in my bed, and all of a sudden, my confidence just went through into the toilet, basically. I couldn't call her Minnie Mouse anymore. I wasn't that stupid. I knew I couldn't call her Minnie Mouse the next day, so I basically turned back into the nice guy. And the ride home, when I dropped her off in the morning, it was really awkward. I had no idea. We were making forced conversations. It was that boring interview question mode where I'm just asking her all these questions that I don't really care about to try to build rapport. And, I was ready to hang up my hat and date this woman because she was amazing just from what I saw of her compared to the women I dated in previously. But she was done. I never saw her again. So, but I kept trying to do that for months and months and months, and I couldn't figure out why I had this flash of success and then nothing. And that was because I was trying to be this person that I wasn't. So everyone has strengths. Each category has a strength, and you want to keep the strength you have and work on the weaknesses. If you're having trouble connecting with people, if you're maybe too introverted or you're just too off the wall, then you have to find that sweet spot. Or if you're too passive, you have to get comfortable taking action, not to become aggressive, but to become assertive. And that's basically what I do. I've got a 90-day program where I take guys through that evolution. It's called the Formula for Confidence Mentorship, and I'll talk about that at the end. So it takes, and the reason it's kind of 90 days, it takes a little bit of time to adopt new patterns into your life. So next I'm going to talk about internal alignment. We have external, and we also have internal. And you can almost look at that as outer versus inner game as well. I like to kind of teach a fusion of the two. And our external alignment dictates our strategies, and our internal alignment will give us the reason why the strategies either work or they don't. So even if you pinpoint the exact strategies, if you're misaligned on the inside, they won't work. So, but when they're fused together, when you're aligned in all areas, it becomes easy. You enter kind of this abundant state. You don't really have to do anything to attract women. You're just being who you are. So here's the grid for internal alignment. And so the first question we have to ask is, are we taking action? Are we going after our goals? Are we doing what we know we should be doing to meet women? And if the answer is no, then you're probably in this procrastination state, this internal mindset. You're waiting, you're procrastinating, you're going to do it later. If the answer is yes, then you're in one of these three boxes. If you're hoping, just kind of throwing darts at a board, going out there and trying a bunch of stuff, or just have no plan at all, you're probably winging it. It's called like a winging mindset. If you're scripting everything, like if you try to memorize a bunch of stuff before you go out, and you have all this stuff in your head, and you try to go out and implement it, but then you forget most of it anyways, and you're struggling, you're probably in a forcing or a scripting mindset. And then where you want to be is in this having mindset, where you're taking action, and what you're doing is in alignment. And when you know that the action you're taking and your internal beliefs are lined up, you enter a having state. And if you know you're going to get it, guess what? You're going to get it. Anyone know what the law of attraction is? Anyone heard of that before? Basically, what you focus on expands. That's an easy way to put it. And like attracts like. So if your internal belief system is, I meet women easily, you'll create that. And if it's impossible to meet women, you'll also create that. So just to make these points a little bit more solid, I'm going to give you guys 3 case studies. The first one is this guy, George. Now, George was the biggest procrastinator I had ever met. Basically, when I met him, he wouldn't take any action at all when it came to women. And not only was he not taking action with women, but he wasn't taking action anywhere in his life. Usually how we do anything, or how we do one thing, is how we do everything. That's a common theme I see with myself and with the clients I've worked with. How we do anything is how we do everything. So he was a painter, and I went to his house, and he had these insane paintings. They were like, I mean, dude, you could be selling these paintings for thousands of dollars. And he's like, yeah, it takes me about a year to do a painting. I'm like, a year? I mean, they're not like, it's not the Sistine Chapel. They're like this by this. And when I got him out of that procrastination state with women, it changed his painting as well. He started doing one painting a week, and he quickly transitioned from his boring job into this side business where he was selling paintings on the side, making thousands of extra dollars every month. Not only was he doing that, but he was going out to Venice Beach Boardwalk. I'm from LA, and his work was right on Venice Beach. And what he would do during his lunch break is he'd go out on the boardwalk and pick up tourists. So, he told me the story that he hooked up with this tourist in a dirty stairwell in Venice, which is not a good idea. Basically, that smells like urine. So, wouldn't recommend that, but hey, he was a painter, that's what he wanted to do. But I got him out of the procrastination state. Everything started turning around. So that's George. This next guy, Nirav, this was a really interesting story. He is a photographer, professional photographer, and he shoots models. Horrible job, right? He has to stare at, scantily clad women all day long, take their picture. And this guy had absolutely no shame. He'd be taking pictures of the models, and he told me these stories. He'd be like, "Yeah, baby, I can't wait to get you in bed. You're looking good." He was the sleazy photographer, dude, super sleazeball. And he would ask out every model that came, for him to take their picture, and constantly he'd get no, 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 and you can imagine how frustrating that is when you're taking pictures of beautiful women all the time, but you can't date them. So he was in this winging sort of mindset, where he was just basically throwing stuff out there, and it wasn't working. So for him, I showed him how he can kind of tone it down a bit, and we shifted him out of that state, and I got him comfortable expressing attraction in a less sleazy way. And guess what happened? It was a pretty easy shift for him to make. Now he's dating one of them. And he dated a bunch of them before he found one that he really liked. So he's got a girlfriend now, and she was one of his subjects. So that's kind of the winging state. And the last state is the scripting state. Now, I've gone through all the states. I started in the procrastination state, and then I went into the winging state, and then I went into the scripting state after studying way too much pickup. And that's what happened with Gary. Gary had been on a lot of boot camps. He had taken a lot of different stuff. And even though he had everything in his head, he would get into a situation at a bar and just completely freeze up. Nothing would happen. So with Gary, it was funny. He was at a 3-day boot camp. At the end of my 90-day program, there's a 3-day boot camp. So he came out to that. And during the boot camp, we were in this bar, and it was kind of like a loungy type of place, and there was just blondes everywhere. California, you get a lot of brunettes, but this place, for whatever reason, had all blondes. And he comes to me, and he goes, "Robbie, I hate this place." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Because it's filled with freaking blondes, and I hate blondes. They intimidate the hell out of me." And I was like, "That's funny, Gary. You should say that to those girls over there." And he goes, "I can't say that. That's that'd be weird. How could I say that? I've never heard anything like that." It didn't fit his all the stuff he had learned in his head. It didn't fit into that category, into any of those categories. So I was like, "Gary, here's a $10 bill. If you go over and tell those girls exactly what you just told me, I promise you'll probably have a good interaction. And if you don't, you get this $10 bill when you come back." And he was still like, "Dude, I'm not doing it." But his wingman, his buddy at the time, was like, "How could you not do it, man? Just do it." So he goes, "Fine." And he walks over there, he's all pissed off, and he goes, "I hate this place. It's filled with blondes like you guys, and I hate blondes." And the blondes were they kind of laughed, and there were 2 brunettes in the group as well. And the 2 brunettes were just they're on him, social dynamics at work there. And they're British girls. The 2 brunettes ended up fighting over him the entire night. Because the cool thing about Gary is his thing was approach anxiety. He was actually halfway decent once he got into a conversation. He relaxed. He could just totally, be free and interact. But he had so much approach anxiety, he couldn't open a conversation to save his life. So he ended up leaving with those 2 brunettes. They tried to get him home to their hotel. They said to him, they're like, "Yeah, we're flying out tomorrow, but you should come back to our hotel with us." And he was like, he wasn't ready for that success quite yet, so he screwed that up. But it totally screwed with his reality because he didn't realize how easy it could actually be. He didn't have to have all these crazy things in his head. So I taught him how to get out of his head, and he got out of that scripter mindset. So that was Gary. Now, most people were stuck in waiting, hoping, forcing. So here are the remedies to shifting into a having state. It's like the bird's eye view. So if you're stuck in waiting, and let me just ask you guys, who thinks they're stuck in a waiting or procrastination type of state? Okay. And how about winging, hoping, scripting, forcing? You? Okay. So, get some water. If you're in this waiting state, really simple. You have to make choices. You have to make a choice and take baby steps that are in alignment with an action plan that you have. Now, one huge mistake that people try to make is if they're stuck in waiting, they'll beat themselves up and they'll say, God, I got to do something. I should be out there. I should be meeting women. So they'll go out one night and they'll say, you know what, I haven't approached a woman in a while, so I'm going to approach 10 tonight. And maybe you approach 10, but after doing that, you're like, you've just completely overtrained. You've burned yourself out. And a lot of the times it can be harder to get back into action after doing that. For example, the first boot camp I ever took, I went out and I probably talked to 75 women in the 2 nights I was out. And when I came back home after that boot camp, I couldn't talk to anyone because I was just fried. It was actually too much action. It was overtraining. And overtraining is just as bad as undertraining. If you go to the gym and you try to put up too much weight and you hurt something, well, that's just as bad as not going to the gym at all because now you can't train. So baby steps are huge if you're stuck in that waiting state. You don't want to push it too much. You have to make sure the action you're taking is in alignment. So the next one, if you're stuck in hoping, then you're probably throwing darts at a board, just trying all this stuff with no real rhyme or reason. So if you're stuck in that, you have to get focused and also get a plan, some sort of structure. With a structure comes freedom, but with too much structure, you lose the freedom, which is forcing. And when you're forcing, you have to stop trying to be perfect. You have to stop worrying about getting it right. And you want to just surrender a little bit to, hey, how can this be easy? What can I do to take a step back and just stop trying so hard? And good things will happen if you just change your mindset. When you change your mindset, it changes everything. And also, find a plan that's not like a script, a little bit looser type of plan. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're like, shoot, how do I shift out of this? I have stuff that can help you with that. Now, I created a bunch of quizzes. Who likes to take quizzes? Who are the geeks in the room? Yeah, all right. I love quizzes. I'm just anyone ever get those you're online and some stupid quiz will pop up when you're doing something important and you totally get sidetracked and just start taking this dumb quiz. And at the end, they're like, sorry, to get your answers, you have to send in your email address. And you're like, God, I just wasted my time with these stupid quizzes. So I created some quizzes to help you guys figure out exactly where you are on the external alignment grid and on the internal alignment grid. And at the end, don't worry, you won't have to enter your email to get the answers. You'll get them right there. And I have more remedies on there as well. So everyone pull out their phone right now. Just grab it. And I'm going to send you guys the quizzes. If you send an email right now, a blank email, most people have some sort of smartphone or iPad. I feel so left out. I don't have an iPad and a cool little stand for my iPad. That's awesome. But just send a blank email to ic21convention@aweber.com. And you'll see all those quizzes. There'll be a link to take you right there.
Does that mean that you're going to start bombarding us with spam or something like that?
Yes. I'm going to email you guys every hour of every day. No, I actually say right there, the question was, am I going to bombard you guys with spam? And the answer is no. You can opt out anytime, just click of a button. And I only send content that I deem is highly, highly valuable. And you won't hear from me more than twice a week at the absolute most. And so, yeah, don't worry about that. Now, the last thing that I want to, there's kind of your external alignment, there's your internal alignment, and what I've been kind of mentioning throughout is how comfortable are you with sexual tension? And to just describe that a little bit better, what I mean by sexual tension, here are some examples. So if you're uncomfortable and you feel awkward expressing attraction towards women, you're probably a little bit uncomfortable with sexual tension. And guys always, wonder, I always wondered, like, why do I have to express attraction towards women? I don't need to do that. Well, even if you go like the indirect way and do an indirect approach, eventually you're going to have to kiss her, right? Hopefully. So eventually you're going to have to let the cat out of the bag. I don't care if you're going indirect or direct or anywhere in between. You're going to have to let the cat out of the bag. And if you're not comfortable expressing attraction, you're going to struggle to do that. Huge problem for me in the past. Now, another example is we're scared to make the first move unless it's a sure thing. That story with the Minnie Mouse girl, like when she told me that she was into me, it was easy. But most of the time, that's not going to happen. Women are usually more subtle. And if we're scared to make the move, we're going to struggle. The next one is we don't want her to find out that we like her. If you're worried that she'll find out, then you're going to have trouble. Funny story, back in 7th grade, kind of the interesting thing about meeting women and just how you kind of got to the place where you're at, a lot of the time there's like a defining moment or some sort of event that happened that just changes the course of history. So for me, it was 7th grade. I'm in 7th grade, and I've got this huge crush on this girl named Lauren. And I'm like 4'11" at the time, and she's like 5'6". She's a redhead, and I'm like, yeah, I really like Lauren. And it was just past the like girls have cootie stage, so I wanted to ask her out. I wanted her to be my my girlfriend, my 7th grade girlfriend. That was a cool thing to do. And there was no way I was going to ask Lauren out. But I heard through another friend that she liked me. So that kind of gave me the confidence to try something. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna call Lauren. This was a Friday night. So I looked her up in like the little phone directory. It was in a class of 14 kids was my middle school. So wasn't a big class. 14 kids in my 7th grade class. So get my phone, I call Lauren, and she picks up and I hang up. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to talk to her. So I call her again, she picks up, shit, can't do it. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to spit out the words. I was like, my hand was shaking, I was so nervous to make that call. So I called her friend Ashley, and I said, Ashley, do me a favor, ask out Lauren for me. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. I don't have to do it. That's money. So Ashley calls me back, and she goes, Lauren's not sure. She'll let you know on Monday at school. This was a Friday night. And I didn't know a lot back in 7th grade, but I figured that probably wasn't good. So I waited till Monday, and that was like, I was so dreading it. My dad was driving me to school, and I was like, I'm sick, I can't go to school, Dad. He's like, nope, sorry, you're going to school. And Lauren didn't even come up to me. Ashley comes up to me, and she goes, Robbie, Lauren just wants to be friends. I was like, oh, okay, that sucks. But the next 2 weeks in school, I didn't say a word. I was like, I had every class with Lauren, 14 kids in our class, and it was so awkward, and everybody knew that Robbie asked out Lauren. No one even made fun of me. No one said anything. I never got any slack from anybody. But it was so awkward, I told myself, I don't want to feel like this way ever again. And I associated that with, you shouldn't express attraction towards women. Now, not only that, but it was solidified when I got advice from, he was like a teacher's aide, a young guy who taught PE at the school. He was like 25. He's a real like confident-looking dude, athlete. And I told him the whole story. And he goes, man, never ask girls out. Just let them come to you. That's what I do. I'm like, ooh, that's really good advice. I'll do that. So for the next 5 years of my life, I took that advice to a T. Not only did I never ask a girl out, but I would do anything to make sure she knew that I wasn't interested in her. Even when I got the nerve to ask a girl to like the homecoming dance my junior year of high school, I was like, hey, you want to come to homecoming? And she was like, yeah, sure. I'm like, oh, just as friends, though. And she was like, oh, okay. So I was extremely awkward. And, events like that can totally shape our future. Now, let's say Lauren said, yeah, sure, I'll be your girlfriend. Hey, I might have been like the biggest pimp ever in like middle school. Who knows what would have happened. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. So Carrie was a client of mine. This is kind of like a before and after picture of Carrie. Now, I'll tell you the story about Carrie. Carrie is actually a coach for Adam Lyons now, and he worked with me a couple years ago. And Carrie was extremely uncomfortable with sexual tension, like probably just as bad as I was. I got him in a workshop, and we did an exercise where he had to basically just express attraction with one of the inner confidence girls that I bring in to give you guys feedback and to work with you, and he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't even do it, even though she was like, yeah, go ahead, do it. Check me out. Look me up and down. Like, tell me I'm hot. Tell me you want to do something disgusting to me. I don't care. He just couldn't do it. So I got Carrie comfortable with sexual tension by giving him baby steps, taking action, and Carrie became like obsessed with being comfortable, being uncomfortable. He actually started a blog called beuncomfortable.com or something like that. I think it's still up. And Carrie like took this to the next level. He went out on the Venice Beach boardwalk in a dress. He would go up to people and like ask for a bite of their burger at like a restaurant with like an outside patio. He's like, hey, can I have a fry? And they'd be like, He got on a PA system at a supermarket. He just walked up behind the register and he just started like rapping on a PA system. And the Carrie that came to me, like, he was not doing any of that. He was so uncomfortable with tension just in general, let alone sexual tension. But as he took these baby steps, what felt hard in the beginning now became really easy. And he just kept pushing and pushing and pushing it. Now, the craziest thing about Carrie is that he had like no limits. Has anyone heard of air sex before? A couple people. Probably you know Carrie. Air sex is basically air guitar. You're playing a guitar that doesn't exist. So air sex is when you're on stage performing for a group of people, having sex with the air. So it would be like, yeah, I'm really bad at it. So basically, Carrie decided he was going to become the air sex champion. This felt like the next level of sexual tension pushing. So he practiced this whole like air sex routine, and he like showed me the routine. He took the routine to the regional qualifier in LA, and he won. So they sent him out to Texas for the national championship of air sex, and he won that too. And then they had him on Playboy TV, where he actually had air sex with a Playboy bunny. And it just goes to show you how comfortable he became with sexual tension. He was like, if you can find the video, I would watch it. He does like the most disgusting things to a woman without touching her. And it's just like, oh my God, how could he even do that? But you can actually kind of see, and you can see in this picture, if you really look closely, if you just look at his expression right there, you can tell he's just like, doesn't take himself seriously. He thinks he's a little bit of a joke. That sort of energy was running in Carrie. He was uncomfortable with who he was, so he always kind of put on this happy guy mask. And when he got really confident and comfortable and assertive with tension, you can see how it kind of dropped. And this is just a picture, and if you actually saw the before and after in videos, you could tell a little bit easier. But our physiology, our actual, like our face, the muscles in our face, when we start becoming comfortable with who we are, that stuff actually changes. And women can tell. Women are so perceptive and they're so intuitive, they can spot a confident guy just by looking at him for a second. Everything about him, not just what he says, the way he talks, the way he moves, the way he carries himself. So that was Carrie. Now, the process of taking baby steps to get comfortable with sexual tension, I like to make the analogy that it's like driving a stick shift. Who knows how to drive a stick? Okay, a lot of people. Everyone's at least aware of the difference between a stick and an automatic, right? So that's step one. If you get in a car and you look down and you're like, what's this extra pedal for? Then you're probably not very aware. That's the first step, is awareness. What is different about a stick versus an automatic? Well, there's a gear shifter, there's a clutch. You have to push in the clutch and press the accelerator to make the car go. And you have to even press it to turn the car on. So the first step with becoming comfortable with sexual tension is awareness. When you're interacting with a woman and it feels like really good sexual tension, but she's actually creeped out, that would mean you have a lack of awareness. of that tension, when you can't decipher what sort of tension it is. So that's step one, is being able to feel what the tension is. All right, this feels really sexy, this isn't working. To be able to know that. That's step one. Step two, if you want to learn to drive a stick, well, hopefully you're going to go to like an abandoned parking lot, have a buddy next to you who knows how to do it, and you have to get the feeling in your body, muscle memory. Once you practice it enough, it becomes easy. You don't have to think about it anymore. But what's going to happen during that second step? You're going to stall the car, you're going to burn out. You probably want to use a really crappy car because you're going to damage the clutch quite a bit. You're going to stumble, you're going to fail, you're going to screw it up. That's step two. When it comes to sexual tension, you have to go out and screw it up. You have to go out and be creepy a little bit. You know, if you've never gone out and creeped a girl out, then that would probably be a really great thing to do, just to see how it feels, just to get comfortable doing it. And by nature, of course, you're going to stumble a little bit, but you'll actually get the feeling, that sweet spot in your body. And once you do, you'll be in step three. Step three of driving a stick is you can drive down a crowded freeway in traffic, on your phone, eating a cheeseburger. And you don't have to think about the clutch. You don't have to think about, how much you're going to accelerate. It's just naturally what you're doing. It's completely internalized. And when it comes with sexual tension with women, if you're in that sort of state, then you're not going out and memorizing stuff or trying to think of the right things to say. You're just kind of out, you're being you, and interactions happen. Opportunities come. If you see an opportunity, you just naturally take action on it. That's when you kind of enter that having or flow state. And you'll start to see an abundance of opportunities, and you'll capitalize on them. And then step four, if you want to really master the art of driving a stick shift, you're probably going to want to take it to the next level. You might want to race. You might want to learn like crazy stick shift moves like double clutching. I have no idea how to even do that. I drive a stick, but I have no interest in becoming like a race car driver, at least not right now. So that stuff isn't really important to me. But the analogy is, if you want to do that with sexual tension, which is something that was important to me, if you want to go out and have crazy experiences, do kinky stuff, get involved with crazy stuff with women, date multiple women with integrity, just really have fun, like sowing your wild oats, that would be step four. It's like a whole new level where you have to face even more tension. And not only do you have to be comfortable with sexual tension, but in stage four, you have to be comfortable creating it. You have to be the one to initiate it. And if you take yourself through that process, that's the process I put Carrie through, you'll realize you're in step three or step four pretty quickly. And you're like, wow, I can't believe that used to be me. But that's how it works. So if anyone watching the video, this will be up there as well. And if you guys haven't put that email in and taken those quizzes, you can do that. So next I have a special thing. I just want to talk to the guys that are here. So for anyone watching the video, that's just more reason to actually come to the 21 convention.